Oh,
Your life.
okay. Hello, everyone. You're welcome to session two, and I still remain your moderator, Awele Temitayo Stella. If you were in the room for the first session, then I'm sure your seat should feel hot by now. Your seat should feel hot by now. I'm sure you're questioning a lot of things that you do. Like I mentioned before we went off, I was saying that most times the things we think shows affluence is actually to our own detriment. Dr. Isang says a child who is younger than 16 has no business, with social media. But today we see an 8-year-old with a phone, access to Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. We see it as an affluence. So my daughter has a phone. I got her a phone on her 8th birthday. But this is wrong, right? It's wrong. If I ask us to write in the comment section how many TVs we have in our house, some of you will say six, five, four. It's not bad, but it needs to be regulated. All right. So we're waiting for our next speaker, Dr. Miracle Iwoma. And I know it's going to be another insightful session where we'll learn a lot, session where we'll be transformed. I'm sure about that. Okay, so while we're waiting, I would love to read his bio. But before then, do you have any question from the last session? Do we have any question from the last session? Please let me know. So I'm looking out for the comment. If you didn't join us in the first section and you're just joining, please type out your name and where you're joining us from, and also your expectation for this particular session. So we had that during the first session, and people kept on saying, I just want to be a better parent. I just want to be enlightened. I just want to be impacted, right? I just want to raise my children right. So as we're going into the second session, let me know, what are your expectations for this session? Let me know. And in case you're wondering what this session is all about, we'll be talking about adolescent realities in the 21st century, understanding their world and their unique challenges. I'll keep saying it. The world we grew up in no longer exists. Okay, our speaker is here now, so I'll just quickly run through his bio. Yeah, very impressive bio. So, um, Mr. Miracle is a dynamic speaker, author, clinical psychologist, life coach, and spiritual shepherd. He has worked with different individuals, families, and organizations as a family health therapist for a decade, as a conference speaker for 13 years, and as a clinical psychologist for 6 years, and also a prolific writer for the past 14 years. He's a graduate of psychology and has a master's degree in clinical psychology. His love for personal development has endeared him to attend several other informal trainings, such as the Daystar Leadership Academy, Headstone Speaker Academy, Family System Engineering course, and even Hope Life Ministry in Canada, trauma prevention, and so many other courses in USA on cognitive behavioral therapist and so much more. Is a principal consultant of Live Affairs International, is an integrated training and support organization that creates superior strategies and solutions to help individuals, families, and organizations live their best life. His Live Affairs is involved with training, coaching, therapy, counseling with individuals and organizations across the country. He's a conference speaker, a teen and parenting coach, and has coached over 100 other teen and parenting coaches. His humorous, wow, we're going to laugh, and mind-boggling teaching styles hold his audience spellbound. His clients testify about how 1 hour with him births clarity and can move you from point A to point B. His love for humanity and selfless service is also ubiquitous. And as a result, he served as a volunteer to the Paradigm Initiative, Nigeria Lagos State Empowerment and Resource Network. He's a recipient of Award of Excellence from the Psychological Department of Nnamdi Azikiwe University, the Award of Impact from the Nigerian Red Cross Society, the House of Representative Ajeromi Felodun 50 Most Influential People's Award, and lots more. He's also the administrator of Uncommon Man Network, an NGO with purpose to restore and preserve human life. He's an author of several books, including answering the four big questions of premarital relationship. He has written on self-esteem, tips for developing a healthy self-image, and so much more. An interesting thing about his life is that he grew up in a place referred to as many people as a slum, Ajegule, but he has stood out among his peers and is now a candle that lights other candles. He's a mentor to many, a friend to most, and a protege to few. Please, with an outstanding clap, please let's welcome Mr. Miracle. Come on. I need to see the excitement in the chat box. Come on, welcome him. Welcome him. You're welcome, sir. So it's coming up now. It's coming up. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
I thought I saw him a few minutes ago. What happened?
Yes, I did. I actually saw him. I think he went to bring more for us.
Okay, so while he comes, can we just go to the comment section and just
Yes.
type, okay, you can see when people clapping, virtual claps. Okay, thank you so much.
Please keep the claps coming. Let him come and see all those claps and be like, wow. They're excited to have me here. Super, super excited. I feel elated. I feel delighted. Wow. 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 Did you listen to what I just read? Did you listen to his bio? Wow. Imagine someone who came from Ajegule and he has done so well for himself and is advocating for a better parenting for people. And not just that, did you see how he kept on learning? He kept on learning in Nigeria, in USA, in Canada. He kept on learning. He kept on learning, buying knowledge, making himself a better person. And it became a very good and sought after conference speaker. Look at all the places he had spoken at. He made himself a gift. I love the part where they said is a mentor to many, a friend to most, and a protege to few. He has done outstandingly well. Okay, I think he's here now. You're welcome, Mr. Miracle. So good to have you. All right, awesome. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Confirm you can hear me loud and clear, please.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Right. Beautiful.
Okay. There seems to be a lag at your hand.
Seems like there's a lag at his end.
Yes.
Okay.
But I think it's trying to rectify that now.
Okay. Okay. So while
Yeah, I saw a message from one of our viewers telling us what she wants to learn. Now, I don't think I can see it again. I think her name was Gino. Gino do something. Yeah, Janada Kwabe from UK. Wonderful. Nice to have you here, Janada. And she says, I just want to be a more intentional parent and right the wrong. That's the point. It's never too late. I mean, we had someone in the first session who is a grandmother. And she says she just wants to learn how to raise her grandchildren. So it's never too late. We learn and relearn. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Janada. You just want to be a more intentional parent and right the wrong. I love that. I love that. Yeah. Most of us, we didn't have this opportunity when we gave birth to our children. So we're just learning and relearning. So I love that. Nice to have you here, Janada. Okay, do we have any other person who is joining us? Miriam Odewale, nice to have you. Where are you joining us from, Miriam? Let us know where you're joining us from. And what do you intend to learn? What do you intend to learn in today's session? What do you intend to learn? We're waiting, we're waiting, we're waiting. And if you were in the first session, what stood out for you? What stood out for you if you were in the first session? What did you learn? Um, oh, Janada said she actually joined the first session, but she joined quite late. That's fine. Now you're joining early for the second session. You're joined very early for the second session. Thank you. So glad to have you here. Okay, so I think Mr. Miracle is back. I speak to you, this network. All right, Mr. Miracle, you're welcome back.
Yes, thank you very much. I apologize, man. I don't know. He just keeps knocking me off.
It's fine. It's fine. You have the floor now, sir.
All right, ma'am. Thank you very much. Yeah, so good day, everyone. I want to believe that we have people who are tuning in from different parts of the world. Um, and I'm excited to be here and to be speaking to you this evening. Miracle in Homa is my name, as I've been introduced. And this evening, I want to speak. I'm speaking about adolescent realities in the 21st century. I was even going to share my slides, but then I'm very skeptical because of the network situation right now. So I will just go ahead and speak. Yes. So of course we know that adolescents are um, individuals between age 10 and 19, according to World Health Organization. And it's important to understand that there are unique challenges that come in that age and time, because the adolescent is faced with a unique challenge of transition. Yeah, because 10, for example, is 10, 11, and 12. Those are transition ages to from childhood to teenage years, and also a transition into puberty. And then 19, of course, is an age that is transitioning into 18, 17, 18, and 19 are ages transitioning into full-fledged adulthood. And I usually like to say that every transition period in a person's life, whether child, teenager, adolescent, or even adult, comes with unique challenges. Yes, every transition period in a person's life comes with unique challenges. Yeah, I wrote an article one time, and the title of the article was "Good Things Can Have Bad Effects." And the point I was trying to drive at was how that good things, when not properly prepared for, can actually have bad effects. So, for example, getting or migrating to a new country, especially if you're migrating from a third world country to a first world country, is a good thing. People celebrate it, right? We call it Japa in our local palate. But then we have seen that when not properly prepared for, people can actually grapple with the challenges that come with traveling. Yes, we've seen people, for example, who have had depression, all kinds of mental health conditions as a result of that transition. We have seen people whose marriages hit the rock just because they transition. We have seen people who have lost their children as a result of that migration to another country. Something as good as marriage. Yeah, we celebrate marriage. We in Africa, we buy Nigeria particularly, we buy a shwebi and all of that to celebrate marriage, two people getting married. It's a good thing. But then, if not properly prepared for, as a transition period in a person's life, it can come with all kinds of challenges. It is why most divorces happen between the first 5 years, because it's a transition period. Something as wonderful as having a new baby is wonderful, is beautiful. But then, if not properly prepared for, beautiful. It's something people pray for, and a lot of people are really, but come with its own challenges. We have seen couples grow apart because a new child came into the picture. We have seen women who have had to grapple and deal with postpartum depressions, postpartum psychosis as a result of this transition. Yeah. And if when we have seen people, for example, who have grappled with even promotion, something as wonderful as promotion. Yeah, I was in an organization speaking about this, and then an employee told me how that he dealt with the same challenge I was describing. Was promoted in that organization, but he wasn't prepared for it. He wasn't ready for it, and he said that was one of the most challenging periods of his life. He had to ask for them to demote him back to his previous position before he could get back his mental health and peace. Yes. So if adults can grapple with transition periods in their lives, how then do you think teenagers and adolescents will grapple with these transition periods? That is why the most sensitive period in a person's life are actually the transition from childhood to teenage years to puberty and then into adulthood. Yeah, it is where a lot of the teenagers, where a lot of the adolescents make mistakes because it's a transition period. If they're not properly prepared for it, they are most likely going to make the wrong decisions. Yeah, so it's a critical period in an adolescent's life, in a child's life. That transition from childhood to teenage years, from teenage years to adulthood, those are very sensitive period. And it's important to also note that the reality of an adolescent now is not the same with that of the previous generation. Yeah, it's not the same at all with that of the previous generation. And I'll give you a typical example. So while I was growing up, um, if I wanted to watch pornography as a teenager, it was really difficult. It wasn't easy. I needed critical thinking. I needed some form of executive planning to and proper execution to watch pornography. Because number one, you needed a TV, television, and not everybody had a television when I was growing up. You needed to be somewhere around the middle class to be able to have television. And if you had television, you also needed to have a DVD. And if you had both a television and a DVD, you needed to go and buy the pornography cassette or DVD cassette. And you could go and buy the DVD cassette, and the person selling it decides not to sell to you because they feel you are underage. Yeah. So you needed to also pass that hurdle. So let's assume now that you have a TV, you have a DVD, and then you are now able to pass the hurdle of buying the cassette. You also now needed to play that cassette that you have bought at a time when nobody was home. At least your parents were not home, and maybe your other siblings if you had one. And also, if you now are able to pass that hurdle where you have a TV, you have a DVD, and you'll be able to buy the cassette, and nobody's at home, you also needed to pray that there was power supply. And let's assume you pass that hurdle, you now have TV, you have DVD, you have the cassettes, you nobody is home, and there is power. You also now needed to pray another prayer that while you slot in the cassette, NEPA or the power company doesn't interrupt power. Because if power is interrupted, it means that the cassettes that you've bought, the pornographic film that you've bought, is going to get stuck in the DVD. Yeah, and if it gets stuck in the DVD and power is not restored till your parents get back home, that's going to be a challenge because when power is restored, it's going to show last seen. So it's going to continue playing for where it stopped. So those were the challenges with watching pornography, for example, in my own time. And because of that, many of us didn't really have challenges with pornography in our teenage years because it was just a lot. So it wasn't that we couldn't be addicted to pornography, it was that we didn't even have the opportunity to be addicted to it. But right now, if an adolescent wants to watch pornography, He doesn't need a TV. He doesn't need DVD. He doesn't need DVD cassette. He doesn't need any of those things. All he needs is a smartphone. And at the click of a finger, he can have access to over 10,000 pornographic content. That's the difference between the previous generation and the 21st century adolescents. Yes. One of the words that describes the 21st century adolescent is options. They have options, a lot of options. Yeah, they have a lot of options. And it is why, a lot of them, for example, can't even work in places for so long because they have options. Yeah. So this is a different generation. And if you must deal with this generation, you must understand them. You must understand the rules of engagement. So let's then talk about 5 core global adolescent challenges. What are the 5 global challenges adolescents face? Number 1 is digital pressure and social media anxiety. Digital pressure and social media anxiety. With the rise of social media platforms, teenagers and adolescents feel the constant need, to present a curated, perfect version of their lives. They might deal with issues such as cyberbullying, fear of missing out, and the pressure of maintaining an ideal image online. Yeah. So why is this so? Unlike the previous generation, today's adolescents grow up in a world dominated by digital platforms. Every moment can be captured, shared, scrutinized, leading to adults, leading to added stress rather. Now, um, when we were growing up, we didn't have gadgets. Yeah, that is why it looks now that once you give it to a child of 3, 4, 2, 5, 7, 8 can handle gadgets, can do things on devices that you as an adult cannot do because they are digital natives. They were born into the digital space and the digital world. Yeah. While many of us were born in the analog age, they were born in the digital age. They are digital natives themselves. So they grow up in that space and then begin to grapple with the challenges that come with the digital space. For example, when I was leaving secondary school, what some people might know as high school, right? And we're doing valedictory service. It was really a valedictory service, and we really said goodbye to each other, not knowing when we're going to see each other again. It was that emotional, right? And we didn't know how we're going to see each other anymore. Yeah. So we said goodbyes, and those were really goodbyes. But right now, and it also meant that if anybody in our in my set got married, we didn't know. If anybody bought a new shoe, we did not know. If anybody traveled abroad, we didn't really know, except to see somebody who knows them personally, who stays around them and has that information. If anybody, gives birth to a child, we don't really know. But it's not the same thing with the adolescent in this age and time. The adolescent in this age and time is a digital citizen where when they are doing the voluntary service, they are not emotional. You know why? Because they know they are going to see each other again and again and again. Yes, they might not see themselves physically, but they will get to see themselves online. They will interact, they will chat, they will do video calls. Yeah. Now that is good, but then it also adds or brings about added pressure because now everybody needs to measure up. Everybody needs to look a particular kind of way. So when somebody gets married, everybody knows. When somebody gets admission or gains admission to a high institution, everybody knows. When somebody travels abroad, everybody knows. When somebody buys a new shoe or a new belt or a new shirt, everyone knows because they post it on social media. So there is now an added pressure on these adolescents to measure up, to live a particular kind of way. Yeah. And there is FOMO, the fear of missing out, that is now added to the mix. Yeah. So all of these are the challenges the 21st century adolescent is facing right now. One of the challenges they are facing right now. Yeah. I remember how a 17-year-old boy met me at one time and told me that, sir, he feels really depressed. I said, what is making you feel depressed? He told me his friends were doing so well, were lodging in a hotel, making money, carrying girls, spending, giving to their parents. I said, oh, really? Your friends? How old are your friends? He said they were his age group. 17 years old, 18 years old, 19 years old, 16 years old. These were his friends. And because his friends were living a particular kind of way, he also wanted to live like them, even though it wasn't the right thing for him to do. That's a challenge of the 21st century adolescent. What is the second global challenge of an adolescent? Identity and self expression. Identity and self expression. What is the challenge here? You know, Adolescents grapple with understanding who they are, what they believe in, and how they fit into the world. They may also be confused about their sexual orientation, gender identity, and personal beliefs, no thanks to the power of media. Why is this so? Adolescence is naturally a time of self exploration. Remember, I said that adolescence is a period of transition. However, with the vastness of the internet, adolescents are exposed to a broader range of ideas and identities which can both empower them or confuse them. Yeah. When I opened Facebook, maybe sometime, I can't remember the year right now, but I remember when I opened Facebook, we had just two genders, male and female. If you want to open a Facebook account right now, there are over 50 gender options to choose from. That is a challenge these adolescents are facing right now. So there's identity crisis. Yeah, because with options come confusion. Remember, I said that the adolescent of this age and time has options. They have a lot of options. But with options can also come confusion. That is why one of the greatest things an adolescent needs is a sense of clarity, a sense of purpose, because there is just so much to choose from. There is a lot they are grappling with. Yeah, there's a lot they're grappling with. So they are dealing with identity and self expression. The third challenge is mental health stigma. Mental health stigma. So while awareness about mental health has grown, many adolescents still find it hard to express their struggle or seek help due to fear of judgment or misunderstanding. The increase in drug use in Africa, for example, has also changed the dynamics. Why is this so? There is still a generational divide regarding mental health. Older generations might have been taught to suppress or deny emotional challenges, making it harder for them to understand or empathize with their children's struggle. Yeah, because there is a big divide, a big disparity between how mental health awareness in the previous generation and mental health awareness in this generation. It is why you hear a lot of adolescents talk about, oh, their mental health, my mental health, my mental health, my mental health, because they are a little more aware of their mental health. Yeah. And the previous generation cannot really relate, so they are wondering what exactly is going on. Why are you always talking about mental health? We faced the same challenges, we surmounted them, but why is it that you are crying foul now that it's your turn to go through the challenges? Yeah. Of course, while I agree with the previous generation that a lot of adolescents in this generation lack resilience, I also would say to that this current generation of adolescents also are more aware of their mental health. It is why they are more vocal about it. So the earlier you come to embrace it, the earlier you come to understand it, the earlier you come to empathize with them, the better you can reach them and help them bridge that gap. The next challenge that these adolescents go through is academic and future pressure. Academic and future pressures. What's the challenge here? The competition for college admissions, scholarships, and job opportunities feel more intense than ever. Many adolescents feel overwhelmed by the need to excel academically, engage in extracurricular activities, and plan for their future. Remember options. Options. There are a lot of options for them. And they will need guidance. They will need clarity to be able to navigate these options. Why is this so? The job market and global economy are rapidly changing, making it seem like the state might inadvertently contribute to them with higher expectations. Yes. For example, when I was growing up, you only had maybe five things that almost everybody wanted to study. You either wanted to be a medical doctor, or you wanted to be an engineer, or you wanted to be an accountant, or you wanted to be a lawyer. Yeah. What else? I think that's it basically. Maybe one other thing, but it was limited. But right now, it's no longer the same. It's no longer the same. Now there's a plethora of options adolescents can choose from. Yeah, things that you'll be laughed at if you talked about 20 years ago, 15 years ago. You can talk about it right now and you'll be on course. For example, if somebody came 20 years ago and said, I wanted to be a social media manager, you'd be laughed to scorn. What does that mean? Somebody says, I want to study machine learning. It won't make any sense. I want to study artificial intelligence. It won't make any sense. But right now, it's a thing. It's a thing because the options are wider. People can say, I want to be a social media influencer. And it makes sense right now. Yeah. And right now, there is a lot of pressure on these adolescents from their parents. Yeah. Yeah. And I'd like to say that pressure makes diamonds. Pressure makes diamonds. Pressure must be measured. Let me say that again. Pressure makes diamonds, but pressure must be measured. Because if excessive pressure is put on these adolescents, these children, you are going to destroy them instead of making or bringing the best out of them. Because your goal is to bring the best out of them and not to destroy them. So you have to make sure that the pressure you're putting are measured, especially for first-born children, because many times the expectations are higher for first-born children. Yeah, and if you have a first-born child here, maybe you have one child right now, expecting more children. It's important to treat that child as a child because for many parents and caregivers, they treat their first-born children as adults and not children. So you hear things like, don't you know you are the firstborn? Yeah. Why not give this thing to your younger one? You should know better than this. Oh, allow them to go and play while you take care of this. So there's a lot of expectation, responsibility put on the firstborn. But you must remember that even though that child is a firstborn child, they are still children, and you must treat them like children, because many firstborn never had their childhood. They were adults, they became adults too early. They became adults too early. So it's important to take it easy with the expectations. Because when there is too much expectations, high expectations, on unrealistic expectations, what you would create in your children are actually, you're going to create perfectionists. And perfectionism is not a good thing, because nobody can be perfect. We can attain excellence. We can make progress, but we can never be perfect. When a child grows up and has a sense of perfectionism, always wants to be perfect, then you have created anxiety, a perpetual anxiety in the life of that child. So it's important not to put unnecessary pressure. And then number 5 is communication barriers with parents. Communication barriers with parents. Now, teens often feel that their parents won't understand or respect their feelings, leading them to withhold information or avoid deep conversations. Teens are striving for independence and autonomy. They are developing their own views and values, sometimes in contrast to their parents. They might fear judgment, disappointment, or conflict, so they choose silence or superficial interactions. Yeah. So it's important as a parent to understand this transition period. It's a global challenge, it's not peculiar to you. Yeah. So whatever challenge you're facing as a parent is not peculiar to you. If you're parenting an adolescent here, it's not peculiar to you. The challenge you're going through. Many other parents are also going through that same or those same challenges. So communication breakdown can be one of those challenges, because as a child begins to transition into teenage years, they now want to have a mind of their own. They might now want to, they might now need a lot of validation or more validation from their peers than from their parents. So they would sometimes want their ideas, their beliefs to conform to that of their peers, even though it's in contrast to the ideas and beliefs of their parents, just so that they can feel among, and so that they can feel like they also have a sense of their own. That is why I tell parents that you must give your children that are transitioning to the teen years a sense of autonomy rather. A sense of autonomy is not the same thing as autonomy. Autonomy is, I am giving you the right to do what you want to do without supervision. A sense of autonomy is, I'm making you feel like you are in charge even when you are not. Yeah. So you must give them a sense of autonomy, not autonomy. A sense of autonomy. What that means is, when you want to make decisions, when you want to give instructions, when you want to teach certain things, ask for their opinions. Let them share their ideas. Let them tell you what they think. Yeah. When they have told you what they think, if it makes sense, adopt it, buy it. But you know what? If it doesn't, sell your own ideas. But before selling your ideas, make sure that you complement theirs. Say, oh, that was a beautiful one. But what about this angle? Have you thought about this? But don't you think that this is not the right thing to do? Oh, this is also what I think about this. Now, even though at the end of the day, they are going on with your own ideas, they are going on with your own decisions, they would have felt heard. They would have felt understood. And one of there are 5 major needs every individual has. Um, 2 of those major needs of an individual are the need to be heard and they need to be understood. They need to be heard and they need to be understood. You also have the need to be listened to. You also have the need to be encouraged. So if your child feels like that need to be heard has been met, that need to be understood has been heard, it doesn't matter if you took what they have said or not, they will go ahead to do what you have told them to do. So they need a sense of autonomy. It's very important. So we can't effectively train adolescents if we don't respect them, accept them, understand them, and love them unconditionally. Let me say that again. We can't effectively train adolescents if we don't respect them, accept them, understand them, and love them unconditionally. So you must respect your adolescents. Oh, yes. I know in Africa, we talk about respect like it should only be upward. No, respect should also be downwards. Yes. We talk about respect like it should only be from the child to the parent or the child to an adult. But even adults need to respect children, need to respect them because they are human beings. Yeah. God gave you to them, right, for you to imbibe the right values and beliefs into them. You need to respect them. You need to respect them. And they need to know that you respect them. They need to know that you respect their opinions, you respect their ideas, you respect them as human beings. Then you also need to accept them. Yes, you need to accept them for who they are. You need to accept them. I know sometimes it might be difficult to accept them when they are not looking like what you want them to look like. But you have a very low chance at influencing anyone you have not accepted. Your chance for influencing people to change increases when you accept them for who they are. Because children, adolescents, and people will always see through you. And when they sense and know that you don't accept them and you are just trying to, but you're just trying to change them, then they become defensive and it's difficult to get through to them. Yeah. That is why rapport is important. Because when you accept them, then rapport becomes easy. And a proposition in neuro linguistic programming says, in the presence of rapport, anything is possible. Anything is possible. You can get through a child you have actually developed rapport with. So accept them and then understand them. Understand them. That is why the first job of a parent is not to teach, is to learn. Yeah. Is to learn by observation. Because if you look at the word understand, you will see that it comes from two words, under and stand. So you must stand under your child. You must understudy them to understand them. You must stoop to conquer. You must become their student before you become their teacher. Yes, so you need to understand them. A lot of parents are quick to teach, are quick to talk. And maybe that's why they are not seeing a lot of results, because they have not sat down to listen. They have not sat down to observe and to see, okay, this is how actually how my child is, my adolescent is. For example, every adolescent comes in 4 packages. Yeah. And if you don't understand that, for example, you will treat every adolescent the same way. You know, one of the most faulty statements I've heard parents make is treat your child or your children the same way. You don't treat your children the same way because they are not the same. So it's important to understand each child, the peculiarities of each child, and treat them with the deserving principles for their peculiarities and their uniqueness. And then lastly, you must love them unconditionally. You must love them unconditionally. Now, remember that the love, the statement of love here is conditional. And the conditional statement for the love here is unconditional love. So you must love them unconditionally. Many children and maybe adults alike have never experienced unconditional love. Yeah. Carl Rogers will call it unconditional positive regard. That is giving your children love even when they don't deserve it. Let them know that you love them in the most undeserving moments of their lives. Yeah. Once you do that, you plant the seeds of love deep within their soul, deep within their consciousness, so that they know anywhere they are, wherever they are, that they are loved. That alone will save them of heartaches, heartbreaks, and all kinds of things. When a child knows that he's loved, he would hardly succumb to peer pressure, negative peer pressure. Yeah, because they won't be trying to fit in because they already belong somewhere. Unconditional love. Unconditional love is saying, I've told my child, if you pass this exam, I'm going to buy you a bicycle. And then my child fails the exam and I still buy them the bicycle. That is unconditional love. A lot of the love children receive from their parents is conditional love. When you do this, I'm going to do this for you. Oh, if you finish your homework, I'm going to give you an extra meat. If you do this, if you behave well, or I'm going to give you an opportunity to play games. Now, there's nothing wrong with that because there are two ways you can motivate a child: through reward or consequences. So there's nothing wrong with that. That works, except that that cannot be the only thing you do as a way to motivate your child. That cannot be the only kind of love your child knows. Your child should sometimes see you do things for them, and then it wasn't because they did anything to deserve it. Now that is unconditional love. So, three factors define adolescence as I begin to round off. Number one is upbringing, social expectation and roles. Upbringing, social expectations and roles. Two is cultural and environmental influences. And then three is significant unique experiences. Yeah. Upbringing, because the family is the primary agent of socialization. The family is a primary agent of socialization. And then you have secondary agents of socialization, which is environmental influences. Because they are now going to interact with other agents of socialization like school, like religious organization, like friends and what have you. And then they're also going to have their own unique experiences or emotional experiences. Yeah. So parents sometimes ask me, and let me preempt the question, except there is possibly someone here who has that question, which is which is I've trained my child well. And why is it that I trained my child so well? Why is it that they did not turn out well? And I'm going to rather I had more things to say, but I think my time is up. And I usually tell that when you think that you've trained your child well and they haven't turned out well, there most likely are four reasons. Four reasons. One or two or three or four of the four reasons. Number one is that many times people overestimate what they think is training that they have done. So many times people think they have trained, but they haven't trained. But many parents have done everything to their child apart from train their child. They have shouted, they have yelled, they have spanked, but they haven't trained. Yes. Because train up a child in the way that he should go when he's old, he won't depart from it. So many times parents haven't trained. Number two is that the family or the parental influence is not the only influence in the life of a child. It is a major influence, but but it's not the only influence. So other influences can sometimes play a role in how a child turns out. Yeah. Number three is that at the end of the day, when all is said and done, the child still has a mind of their own and they will have to make their own choices and decisions. Sometimes those choices and decisions can be contradictory to the things that have been taught that child. Most times, if the parent has done a good job, the choices will still be channeled through the lens of how that child has been trained. But the child still has their own choices to make at the end of the day. Then finally, is sometimes parents judge their children too early. Yes, parents judge their children too early. Train up a child in the way that he should go when he's old, not when he's young. When he's old, he won't depart from it. So sometimes you have to exercise patience and wait to see how truly your child has turned out to say they haven't turned out well. So some of us, our teenage years weren't the most pleasant. We did all kinds of things, but we still turned out well. If we had been judged by the things that we did in our teenage years, we would have been judged wrongly. Yeah. So I think on that note, I want to round off the session. Thank you, one.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Miracle. I mean, I just kept on writing and writing and writing. I almost lost track of time. I mean, your session is super impactful, and you were able to break down, those things we think are difficult, the difficult concept. You were able to break them down into something that is so easy to assimilate. Thank you so much for that. And when we started, and you said adolescents start from age 10, I was actually very scared. I was like, oh my God, age 10? Isn't that too early? Because when you hear of adolescent, you think, okay, maybe from the teens, 13, 14, that's adolescent, when you start having those difficult conversations. But when you say from 10 years old, wow, man, God really needs to help us parents, honestly. And I love the parts where you said that adolescents, they actually need a lot of validation from their peers, even much more than their parents. So which means as parents we must be very intentional with the kind of peers our children have, since we know that they have a lot of influence on them. So, and I know we can influence this through the environment we live in, the kind of circle we move around with. All these things can influence those people that whose validation your children will be seeking. And again, another thing that you mentioned that really struck me was when you said, oh, there's some parents, no matter what they do, they will still say their children didn't turn out well. I was like, oh my God, that's such a scary place to be. When you've done everything you needed to do and they still do not turn out well. But when you now say that sometimes parents judge too early, and I was like, okay, that's a consolation, kind of. Thank you so much, Mr. Miracle. I wrote down a lot. And I'll still be going over this note. Even though I don't have an adolescent yet, my children are still quite young, but it's good for me to know this at this stage now, and to better prepare myself now that I even know that adolescence starts at age 10. All right, for our audiences, do we have any question for Mr. Miracle before he leaves? Any question? I mean, you would agree with me that this session was packed. Nice to have you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Miracle. Really, really impactful session. And like she said, you were able to break it down to the minutest um, conversation, as in it made it very simple. So our parents can actually listen and know how to deal and interact with their teenagers and adolescents. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you. So we're going to wait. We have 5 minutes left before the next speaker comes. In case we have any question, then we'll our great moderator would ask the questions. Thank you so much, Mr. Miracle.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. So I'm looking through the chat now to see if anyone dropped any
Thank you.
question. But everyone is just saying this is a lot. I've learned so much. Thank you so much, sir. So they're really showing their appreciation. And honestly, that's what I want to say too. Thank you so much. This was a very well thought out session. Broke everything down. You made us understand what to look out for, especially when it comes to adolescents. You talked about those factors that can define an adolescent, talking about the environment, the significant emotional experiences they might have had. Thank you so much. And then when you said we need to give them a sense of autonomy, I was like, okay. But then you now said sense of autonomy is different from autonomy. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah,
Yeah. Then you said
I
sense
can
of
hear you.
autonomy is actually different from autonomy. So I said, okay, calm down. He will try and explain it. And then when you did, I understood. Like, let them feel heard. Let them feel that their suggestion matters. Listen to them. Let them feel like a human being and not just a tiny thing or a puppet or a robot that you can control. Let them feel like they are being heard. And that's when I felt like, okay, I think we need to do this more as parents. Thank you so much. I'm still looking out for questions. Okay, Faith says I have a question. How do I teach my child early about academic and future pressures?
Okay, how do you teach your child early about academic and future pressures? It's the same way you teach your child about anything. Actually, um, it's about beginning to curate those conversations, here and there. You begin to prepare their minds about what lies ahead. Have those conversations at home. I really like to say that every home must have its own unique educational system. Yes. Because the world, for example, has its own educational system. But you as a family, you must have your own educational system. That educational system must be coming from the backdrop of what the vision of your family is. So it also means that every family must have a family vision. And from that family vision, a curriculum must then be designed to help you achieve that vision. To say, if we want to achieve this vision, let's say, for example, we want to be able to raise role models in this family who would be a light to their generation. As an example, we must then ask ourselves, what are the things role models who will then become light in their generation must know? So we would then design a curriculum from that vision that would help us in the achievement of that vision. So that can then include conversations around academics, future pressures, right? Fit into curriculum and then taught systematically, conversations, informally and formally, till your children are well prepared to be able to face what lies ahead of them. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. And it kind of tied in with what Miss Olatoyin started with, which is resilience. That we have to build resilience in our children. And I love the fact that you didn't say, oh, pressure, they can do without having pressure. No, they're going to have it, right? So we just need to prepare them for it. So I really love that. I really love that. Do we have any other question before we move on to the next session? Any other question? Any other question? Okay, I can't see any other question here, and that's because you did justice to the topic. You really, really broke it down. Thank you so much, Mr. Miracle. We're so glad to have had you here today, and we enjoyed your session. Thank you so much. We're so grateful. Okay, yeah. So I think we can move on now to the next session. But before then, tell me, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? Is your notebook filled already? Is your notebook filled? Or if you're using your phone, how many pages have you written so far? Because I've written quite a lot. And you know it's not just about writing, it's about application, applying everything you've learned so far. Yeah, it's been very, very impactful. I agree. That's the word. It's been super impactful. And I hope for those who said today they just want to learn how to be a better parent, I think you're already learning how to be a better parent. For those who said today, I just want to be enlightened, I hope you're getting enlightened already, right? Okay. So, um, Our next speaker, and who happens to be our last speaker for today, is no other person but Mrs. Ayo. Mrs. Ayo. And she'll be talking about how we can protect the young minds from hidden threats, right? Such as pornography, gambling, addiction, and other imagined risks. Even those risks we don't know now that I just imagine. How can we protect our young minds from all these threats? So that's what we're talking about. That's what Mrs. Ayo will be talking about in our session. And I'm just looking out to see if she's here yet. Oh, she's here. Good evening, Ma.
Good evening. Good
So
evening. Good
good to have
evening.
you.
I hope you hear me.
Clearly, loud and clear.
Same here.
Okay.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, so without much
Good.
ado, I think I'll just hand it over to you so you can have the stage.
Thank you so much, Temitayo, and it's a privilege to be here this evening. I'm sure I should be able to share my screen. Yes, I should be able to share my screen. Okay. Share screen. Okay, yeah.
Evening, ma'am. Do you need me to help you share your screen? Welcome, ma'am.
No, no, I'm already sharing.
Okay, great then, great.
I'm already sharing. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, good evening, everyone, once again. And it's such a privilege to be here this evening to share on the topic protecting your young minds from hidden threats, pornography, gambling, addiction, and other emerging threats. And I'll be sharing from my screen, and I'd like you to follow me this evening. So, as a matter of introduction, we need to understand that we are in a world where temptation, as it were, no longer knocks on the door. It lives right inside of our phones. So, just from your phones, you are exposed to all manner of temptations. And we know that our children nowadays, they were born into the digital world. So that's their own garden, that's their own play area. And we know that before before you know it, before they are 13 thereabouts, if care is not taken, they're already exposed to all manner of things. So they're exposed to pornography if care is not taken, online gambling, addictive content, disguising themselves as entertainment, you know, and the curious minds of our children would want to dig deeper. So just by having a phone, whether it is theirs or their parents or their siblings, they can get into spaces that ordinarily we wouldn't want them to into. And as parents, it is our own assignment to protect these young minds, and also to teach them how to protect themselves as well. So, apart from we protecting them, we are supposed to teach them to protect themselves as well. I would like to lay a bit of foundation because we're talking about pornography, we're talking about gambling, and other emerging threats. And these are forms of addictions. And it's very important for us to know what an addiction is and even some fundamental truths about addiction. And the first thing I have here is that addiction is a manifested behavior that the person finds temporary pleasure or relief in and therefore craves, but suffers negative consequences in the long term as a result of it, but does not give up, despite these negative consequences. It's actually Dr. Gabor that's, that I heard this definition from for the first time, and it seems to really resonate with me. So it is a manifested behavior that a person finds temporary pleasure or relief in, and you therefore crave more of it. Even though you suffer negative consequences on the long term as a result of engaging in that behavior, you don't stop despite these negative consequences. So, whatever it is that an individual is engaging in and having a temporary pleasure in it, having relief in it, even though the person knows that there are negative consequences to this thing and still goes on to do it, is an addiction. So, even if it's your work, if it's even studying for a child, always studying, no social life, nothing else, that is an addiction, and it has its consequences. So anything that falls into this is an addiction. Even though we are zooming into pornography, gambling this evening, and there are a few things I'd like you to know about um, any form of addiction, some fundamental truths. So it is not just a moral failing, it is our brain and behavioral disorder. And I'll explain what this means. When any individual engages in any form of addiction, it rewires the brain's reward system and makes the person to compulsively seek, you know, um, reward from a particular thing. So it can be a substance, it can be a behavior, whatever it is. So the brain is rewired to seek reward in something that would not benefit him or her at the end of the day. Then another thing about addiction is it thrives in secrets. And that is why when people are going through addictions recovery, they are encouraged to speak about it. It thrives in secrets and also denial. So it's always important that the silence is broken so that the person can take his or her first step to recovery. Then addiction is usually an attempt to soothe the pain, an escape from a suffering. So something must have happened to someone at some point in time, a trauma, an event that was not so palatable, adverse childhood experiences, or even adverse adulthood experiences in all shapes and forms. So whatever it is that anyone is engaging in to soothe a pain can be an addiction. And then addiction progresses if untreated. So it's not something that will say, oh, it goes after a while. No, if it is not treated, it progresses and becomes worse. Then it affects the whole person. Your health deteriorates, your mind becomes distorted, your thinking, your emotions, just spirals down. You find yourself ashamed, full of guilt, different forms of mood swings, and even the relationship breaks down. So it affects the total person. And it doesn't just affect an individual, it affects families. So if a child is hooked on pornography or gambling, it affects not just the child, it affects the family, it affects the communities, it affects the loved ones. So we need to understand this, that it has to be, the chain has to be broken. It has to be broken. Also, no one chooses addiction, but recovery requires a choice. Like I said, a lot of the time, addiction is gotten into to soothe the pain most of the time. But when you now know that this thing is not, giving me the peace and the progress that I want, the recovery process is now your choice. The recovery process is now your choice, and you have to be intentional, committed to the process. I just thought it was important I shared this fundamental truth before we go on. And there is no one size fits all. It's not that what happens to Mr. A is the same thing. We are different. So some people will need medical care, some people will need counseling, support groups, spiritual renewal, lifestyle, total lifestyle change. So whatever an individual needs, you give it to the person. Then when an individual is on the journey to recovery, relapses, it doesn't mean that the person has failed. It just means that the person is yet to master that area, and the person goes through the process again. So a slip does not mean failure. It means, can we get up from here and start again? Addiction isolates, but when you connect with people, you heal. So in this, when a person is going through a recovery, it's important the person is in a community, there's accountability, so that the person's freedom can be lasting. And then lastly, recovery is possible, and that's one day at a time. It's possible. It's possible. It's possible. We need to remind ourselves that addiction is powerful, but hope, retreatment, and support are more powerful. And healing is not something instant, it's a process. And when we are patient, consistent, we find out that restoration is possible. I felt it's important I just lay this foundation before we go into what we are looking at, today. So it's important that we look at the hidden threats. The first one that we're looking at is pornography. And nowadays, like I said, because we have our phones, it is easily accessible. And from we found out that about 90% of boys and 60% of girls are exposed to pornography before the age of 18. And that is really high. I've worked more with boys on this journey than girls. And this is because, the access to pornography is easy. It's easy. You have it on your phone. 90% of boys, 60% of girls exposed to it before the age of 18 on the phone. And what pornography does is it distorts your view of love, of intimacy, and even self-worth. Because pornography does not show the true picture of how love is. It, like I mentioned while I was talking about addictions, it rewires the brain reward system and makes the individual to be dependent on it. And that's why people keep going back. People keep going back, keep going back. And in the process, because they know that what they're doing is not what they are proud of, they become secretive. And shame definitely comes along with it. And before you know it, they're withdrawing and emotionally isolating themselves. So that is what happens when a child or an individual engages in pornography. And I have here that pornography is not just a damage, doesn't just damage morality, it reshapes your identity. It makes you not to really, to lose who you are. You forget who you are, and you begin to behave in a way that is not in alignment with who you truly are. And then the way people who are engaged in pornography connects is just damaged. So pornography is something that we need to ensure that we help our children not to even get themselves into it in the first place. But if by adventure they do, there's a way out. We have the gambling addiction as well. It starts as a game. Oh, sports betting, mobile games. Oh, I'm trading this, I'm trading that. And before you know it, the person wants more. The person wants more. The person wants more. Because it creates that false sense of control and instant gratification. So the person wants more, and the person keeps putting in more resources, financial resources, into that which, maybe it's a sports betting or mobile games or whatever it is. Actually, remember someone close to me that I know. The person got so involved in this game. I'm trying to recollect now. Fortnite, got so much into Fortnite such that he was buying virtual clothes, virtual jerseys, and was just depleting his savings. So these are the kind of things that happen if one is not careful with things like this. It leads to financial distress, definitely, because you've spent your money on what you shouldn't spend your money on, and definitely you become anxious. And some people begin to steal because they still want to feed that desire. Some people begin to steal. So this happens when an individual is into gambling. So let's say, for example, a teen starts with 500 naira bet, and it's, oh, it will happen. Oh, I'll make it. Oh, I'll get that amount. Before you know it, 50,000 is put into it. And before you know it, the circle continues. The circle continues. And it's, mimics that of a drug addiction. You're trying to feed that desire, that craving. And it just goes on and on and on and on. There are other emerging risks. Social media addiction. And the truth is, it's not just even the teenagers or the children that, find themselves here, even adults. Social media addiction, you're scrolling and comparing a friend to another friend. But our children, because they're still young, their minds are still young, they may not be able to handle these things. And you even find some children committing suicide as a result of it, trying to be like someone else, and they're unable to. So social media addiction breeds comparison. You're seeking validation. You've put something there, you're going there to check how many people have liked. And this leads to mental exhaustion. And mental exhaustion, trust me, can lead to death. Mental exhaustion can lead to death. So one has to be careful to ensure that our children don't find themselves in this space. And like I said, if peradventure they're already there, there is a way out. Gaming addiction, they get into the virtual world, like I mentioned about the Fortnite and some other games like that. You find the teenagers on their seats for hours. Some don't even mind not eating, and they are there playing, living the real world. Then substance use disguised as a trend. You see, vaping. Oh, vaping is not the same thing as smoking. It also damages the system. Energy pills, energy drinks, codeine syrup, all these things. They may disguise themselves as a trend, but you find out that they are risks to our children. They are risks to our children. I like to say here that the enemy doesn't always come in darkness. It sometimes comes as a distraction. So it doesn't show up, oh, I'm this bad thing there that wants to destroy our children. No. It just shows as a distraction. And that's why we parents must be aware. We parents must be present. We must be intentional with taking care of our children and ensuring that we are a part of their lives. We get into their world. What exactly are you doing? What exactly do you want? How can I support you? It's not just about you giving out instructions, but it's about you, being present in their lives such that they can actually come to you if they find themselves, straying. There are some impacts of all these threats, of all of gambling, of um, pornography in the lives of our children. And it comes as psychological, it comes as relational, it comes as even spiritual. And I'm going to take each one of them. So the first one is dopamine imbalance. Because what happens when a child becomes addicted to these things is they are always craving for instant. They are not patient any longer. They want something instant. They want instant pleasure. So their dopamine becomes imbalanced. And, they are not motivated to stretch or to become a better version of themselves. So it's important that we know this, that when our children are addicted to anything, there is imbalance in their dopamine. Another thing is anxiety and depression. Anxiety and depression, because they are ashamed, because they have a lot of struggles, they have a lot of secrets, they become anxious. Oh, maybe someone will find out. Oh, maybe the truth will come to the light, to light. And as a result as well, they find themselves depressed and they begin to spiral down. And another thing that this does for them is shame. Like I mentioned, shame cycles. Oh, I'm a bad person. I'm not good enough. And I can't stop. And because they have that at the back of their mind that they can't stop, they continue. And they see themselves as bad. They see themselves as no good. So it is very important that we note this impact, this psychological impact on our children. Then, relational impact. When our children find themselves engaged in pornography, in gambling, you find out that they can't um, they can't enjoy genuine friendship, genuine intimacy, genuine trust. And when we talk about intimacy, we are not talking about just sex. Being able to have heart-to-heart conversations with people. So they find it difficult because their mind has been distorted. So this is one of the effects of pornography, gambling, especially pornography on our children. Then you find out that they withdraw from their family, they withdraw from their peers. You find them, locking their doors. You find them staying indoors, not wanting to relate with people. So when you begin to see this, you know that something is up with your child. Then the spiritual part of it, there is guilt, there is distance from God, because they already feel they are bad. So they don't want to have anything to do with God. And then the purpose for which they've been created becomes compromised because they are distracted. They are distracted. And there's a quote that I have here, that what the mind constantly consumes, the soul eventually reflects. So whatever we take in, we will eventually leave it out. There's no how. It will be lived out eventually. So it is very, very important that we help our children. We guide them. They are still children. Sometimes they will tell you, oh, Mom, I'm grown. They are still children. And ours is to guide them to bring the best out of their lives. So what are the things that we can do to prevent our children from being hooked on these vices? What are the things we can put in place? How do we build safeguards and prevention strategies for our children. So the first thing we need to do is to start the conversations early. And I'm so glad that the first speaker spoke about that. There are age appropriate conversations that we can have with our children. And there are age appropriate language that we can teach our children. The truth is, our children are very curious, and we shouldn't kill that curiosity. When our children are asking questions, we don't say, "You don't ask too much question, keep quiet. Your mates are sitting down there." No, let them ask questions. And there are times that they ask questions that even we parents find it difficult to answer. It just means we need to go back and do our due diligence so that we can help them. Because if we don't answer the questions, they will go out there and someone else may give them a response that will be to their detriment. So we must be ready to start conversations with our children early. We should not silence them. We should be able to, allow them, create that opportunity for them to ask questions and answer. I have here that silence gives shame its power. Conversation breaks its grip. There are times that children are struggling and they're asking us questions about even their sexuality. And some of us are quick to say, "What is it? Is that what your mates are discussing?" But the truth is, our children are much more exposed than even we at their age during our own time. So we need to be able to ensure that we create that opportunity for them to have conversations with us. And we should not be ashamed of the questions they ask us. Then we need to create tech-free zones. So there are areas in the house that devices are not allowed or maybe on the eating table when you're having dinner or lunch or family time. Tell them no devices at this point in time. It's just us. Bedrooms, it's just us. We want to have one-on-one conversations. Then also use parental control. Make sure you have relationship with your children. You are asking them questions. I have a 13-year-old, and because, like I said, they are in the tech age, she has a phone, but we keep telling her it is not your phone. Because there are times she has to go on Google Classroom, there are times she has to do assignments, there are times she has to do research, so she can use her phone to do that. And she knows that during the week, you're not permitted to make use of your phone. It's school time. And then weekend, there are restrictions. From this time to this time, that's when you have your phone. So, and the restrictions, it's a conversation. Don't just slam it on them. Let them see the reason why. Let them know the reason why. Because when you just slam it on them, that's when they are now, in that space of what is it that mommy and dad don't even want us to have a look at. And they are now eager to find out. So sit together with them. Let them know the reason why you're doing whatever you're doing, so that they have a deeper understanding and they are not in doubt as regards mom or dad, having their best interest at heart. Then also model digital integrity. Our children are watching us. So if you say that the dining table is not meant, the devices are not meant to come to the dining table, do we do the same? When we're having conversations, we put our phones face down, do we do the same? So they watch what we do, and they do what we do much more than what we say. We should be able to practice boundaries and let them see that there are boundaries as well. When you're going to bed, do you keep your phone on your bed with you, or you keep it aside? Because what you're modeling to your child at that point in time is credibility. It's credibility. Then We need to be able to equip our children with emotional skills. We need to be able to, teach them how to be resilient, how to be able to handle boredom, pressure. Oh, mom, I'm bored. Dad, I'm bored. What else can you do to fill the time? What crafts can you engage in? Can you paint? Can you bead? Can you crochet? Do we teach them to be able to sit in silence 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and they begin to graduate? Teaching them mindfulness, teaching them meditation, teaching them resilience. You don't always have what you want now. Delayed gratification. We need to be able to equip our children. So it's not every time they ask for something that you just give it to them. And like I said here, help them find real dopamine through purpose, creativity, and service. Let them volunteer in school, in their places of worship. Other people, we are teaching them, to be creative. You're teaching them to find purpose in life. There are some adults, when you ask them, why are you here on earth? They can't really answer. When you ask some adults, who are you? You hear them talk about their roles. I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a who you are. Because if anything happens and you're stripped of all that, who are you in your core? So we're able to help our children find who they are in the core. So when people begin to tell them things, they can say, you know what, I know who I am. That's your own opinion, and that's fine. We also need to be able to help them build a community accountability. I know that for some homes, the communication line hasn't been great. And we have this tool that we call the open day. And what that does is you establish the ground rules. So you can say, maybe it's a family of 4. You can say, we're going to have this for like an hour, and everyone has like 10 minutes to talk. And what are you talking about? You're going round and you're saying, okay, mom, this is what you did that I don't really appreciate. And the thing is, when that is being done, the child is not permitted to be rude. The parents are not permitted to be rude to the child. You're all just doing that from a place of things can be better in this home. So everybody go around. And when someone is talking about another person, you're not permitted to tell that person the reason why you did whatever you did wrong. All you're supposed to do is to listen and take note of what the people are saying and ensure that you work on it. So let's say family of 4 siblings. The second sibling goes to the person that spoke first, dad and mom. Dad speaks about mom, what mom is doing that is so great, and the children does the same. And everybody goes and begins to work on those things that have been mentioned. So there must be open communication with the family members, with mentors, with youth pastors, with counselors. We need to ensure that our children engage in healthy relationships. We can't afford not to know who our children's friends are. We can't afford to be as ostrich, putting our heads in the ground and the whole other parts of our bodies are outside. So we need to encourage and to know that our children are in healthy relationships, healthy friendships, and there are great supportive peer groups for our children. So, how do we empower our young minds? How do we empower them for those who have found themselves in the struggle, one struggle or the other. So the first step is to acknowledge the struggle, and you let the teenager know that yes, you've made a mistake, but you are not your mistake. You are not your mistake. When we, support our teenagers that way, helping them to know that they are not their mistake, journey becomes easier. And then another thing is we have to normalize help seeking through therapy, through mentorship, through prayer, connecting with the higher source, which is God. So we need to let our children know that it is okay to seek for help. It is okay to say I'm not okay. Then there must be routines built around the challenge to ensure that there is no relapse. So as the person starts that journey to wholeness, there are routines that are built to ensure that the person is helped indeed. And then we have to replace that bad habit with something else that is good. Because we know that nature abhors vacuum. So when there is emptiness, when there is nothing being done, that's when you find people busy with what they ought not to be busy with. It helps such an individual to, find purpose and then speak life. I'm a Christian, so affirm your identity in Christ. And for those who are not of the Christian faith, affirm your identity. I'm amazing. I'm more than enough. I am great. I am not this addiction. I am a limited edition. I am beautiful. I am kind. I'm amazing. They need to speak life, reminding themselves that they are not failures. And even as I conclude, I want to say that protection brings awareness. So when you're protecting your child, you're having conversations with your child becomes aware. Your child becomes aware. But you now have to go a step further by being intentional. Don't say you're too busy to get involved in the life of your child. Get into their world. Get into their space. Know where they are at. And I like to say that even as we protect these young minds, we also need to model it. And I mentioned it at the in the course of my conversations with us. We need to be able to model wholeness. They should be able to see that we are emotionally stable, we are mentally stable and spiritually sound. Very important. Because we can't say something else and do something else. Our children are watching. And if we are not, doing well enough, we find out that our children, one way or the other, begins to go in that route as well. Lastly, I like to say that may every home, every classroom, every church, every religious place become a safe space for honest conversations, early interventions, and guided healing. Thank you very much, and God bless. I don't know if there are questions.
Wow, wow, wow. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much. Wow, that was a lot to take in. And super impactful. Thank you. Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much. Thank you. And there was something you said that what the mind constantly consumes, that the soul would eventually, reflect
Leave
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, just like as the mind is, so you are. Whatever you spend your time consuming, whatever you spend your time spending time on, it will definitely reflect. Before we started, because you were ready, I didn't want to take too much of your time, so I didn't read your bio, but I really need to read it. So I'll do that now. So Mrs. Ayer is an accomplished people and system strategist, for empowerment advocate known for helping individuals and organizations find clarity, healing, and balance. And she holds multiple global certifications, right? Including Master Practitioner of Family System Engineering, Addiction and Mental Health Practitioner, Certified Life Coach, NLP and CBT Practitioner, Emotional Intelligence Practitioner, and so many other ones. And through her work as an healing facilitator, because she calls herself an healing facilitator, a counselor, and an educator, she leads so many professional counseling and intervention programs that promote personal wholeness and leadership growth. And she extends her impact through the media and digital tools such as the Balance Me Show, Balance Me Toolbox, and Balance Me Flashcard, as well as a memoir, right? And her legacy initiatives include the Ladies Lounge, right? Journey to Honor CSR, and so many other ones. And I just want to end with this, that she's married to Oluwafemi Bernard Lawrence, and they are blessed with 3 children: Oluwatosin David, Oluwatoyin Joyce, and Oluwatamilore Sarah. And when she said she had a 13-year-old, I was like, wow, you look so good.
Oh, I
You
actually
look,
have a 24.
oh, please. Now you're making it difficult to believe.
And I'm actually going to be 50 this year.
Oh my God. How do you stay youthful? How? How have you stayed so youthful? Wow. Wow. We have a lot
Thank
to learn.
you.
We have a lot to learn from you aside parenting, please. We need the secrets. Wow. I would never have guessed. I would never. I was thinking you're
Thank
maybe
you.
around 38,
Oh,
39, thereabout.
that's a compliment.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you. All right, let me quickly
Thank
go through
you.
the chat and see if we have any question. Q&A, any question for her, please? Question. Oh, so learning with Auntie KB says, thank you very much, your talk was impactful and so touching. Yes, I agree. And everybody is saying, wow, 50 where? 50 where?
I'm amazed myself.
Oh mine. Oh mine. Oh mine. Oh mine. Wow. Questions. I think you really did justice to the topic. So there's really no question, honestly. We have a lot to go over. I'm sure when people get home this night, they will go over their notes because there's actually a lot to learn. So they will go, okay, we have a question. And the question is, how is pornography and gambling linked to mental health?
Okay. So, pornography and gambling are addictions. And addictions, like I mentioned at the beginning, they are mental health challenges, as it were, because you're trying to support a particular craving. You're trying to feed a craving. And what that does is it rewires your brain. It rewires your reward system, the brain's reward system. So anything that has to do with your brain, is a mental health. It's a mental health. How would I call it? The mental health case, so to speak. So because your brain is being rewired as a result of the craving that the individual is desiring, you find out that the person is unable to live life the way he or she would have lived if that wasn't the case. So someone who is into pornography and has to keep going there to get um, that that support, or that to 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 feed that craving. At that point in time, the brain reward system is being rewired, and because that is happening, it is a mental health case. So that's the link between addictions and pornography, gambling, which is a form of addiction, and mental health. So when your reward system is being the brain reward system is being rewired, you know, it's um, um, a mental health case, as it were.
Yeah, thank you very much. And most times people don't believe they have a problem, especially those who are gambling and those who watch pornography. See, especially now in some parts in the western part of the world, pornography is seen as a norm, something you need to do to understand
Yeah,
yourself
to
better.
relax. Yeah.
Yes, they will even advocate for it, like, oh, to get to know this better, to be better at this, you need to watch this. And for those who are gambling, they don't see anything bad in it. It's my money. I can do anything with my money. So they don't really know where to draw that line, or that it can actually affect the mental health. Wow. So the Lightings coaching is saying this is impactful, that this is very impactful, and she's saying that identity and purpose is key. And you're very right. If you ask a lot of people in our generation, like, what do you think your purpose is, most people don't know. They will just call their career their purpose, where they found themselves in life, that will be their purpose, because we didn't have these conversations growing up. We didn't have these conversations at all. Okay, so do we have any other question for Mrs. Ayo before she leaves? Do we have any question for her before she leaves? I'm looking through the comment section now to see. Um, okay, thank you very much. It's also impactful. Do we have any question for Mrs. Ayo? Okay. I can't see any question. Wow. Which means you really did justice to the topic. I can't see any question. Are you sure there's no
Thank you.
question for her? Are you sure? All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so I think I will call on Mrs. Oluwatoyin Ogunkome. Is she here?
Hi, good evening.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Mrs. Ayodeji. Thank you so much.
My
I
pleasure.
appreciate I appreciate you being part of this summit, and your session very very impactful, soft spoken. You took your time to explain it one by one, and yes, we really really learned a lot. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you, ma'am. And we hope when next we call upon you, you'll definitely come and be part of it.
We are
Thank you.
together.
But in case you have any material, any program coming up you'd like to share with us, you could drop it in the comment section. Maybe you have a material you want to share, you have a book, or anything you have that you want that is coming up. You could
Okay,
also drop it in the
I'll
comment
just
section.
drop my
Instagram
seller
handle.
link.
Okay. Okay, you can do that.
That, yes, that has everything. So I can drop it as we go along. Or the Are we almost done?
Yes, you're the last speaker for tonight.
Oh, okay. So let me just quickly
Okay. So you can quickly
just
drop it in.
yes, I'm fine.
Thank you so much. Madam Temitayo, our moderator, thank you so much. Want to say thank you
it's
to
an
everyone who joined today. Thank you, Mr. Miracle. Thank you, Dr. Asang.
it's,
Thank you so much, everyone. It's really been an impactful first day. This is our first day, and we've gained so much knowledge, so much impact from how to deal with screen time, screen addiction, to how to deal with our teenagers, how to connect with them, how to understand them. I love what he said that we need to we need to understudy them to understand. That's what Mr. Miracle. Excellent. And for you, Mrs. Ayo, thank you so much. I love the fact that you started by talking about what addiction is, how addiction affects individuals, and the different types of addiction. I want to say thank you so much. So, everyone, thank you for joining us for day one. We still have day two. Tomorrow we have four speakers from three, four, five, six. I guess we just use one link for tomorrow. So I won't have to
Okay.
go and come. I guess that's what we'll do.
I,
Just use one link for tomorrow, and
I'm
everyone
unable
will
to
join.
post. It's saying that it failed.
Oh, okay. Do you want to drop it in the chat box for me so I can post
Okay,
it?
yes, I can do
Yeah.
that for you. Yeah.
So tomorrow, we're here again tomorrow, 3 p.m. We have four sessions, three, four, five, and six, and they're all impactful sessions. Tomorrow, we'll be talking more about resilience. Today was all about how to protect the mind of our children. Tomorrow is how to build resilience in our children. And for those of you who are living in Abuja, please, we'd like to see you at House on the Rock Church, the Rock Event Center. That's where we're having the live session. And we have like about 6 to 8 speakers. We have six
Share the link.
adult speakers. You see, okay, we have 6 adult speakers and we have about 4 teenage speakers who will be joining and speaking, and we're going to have a panel session. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. God bless you. Let me post
Thank you.
this. Let me post this. Okay, so I posted it.
Yeah. Thank you so
Okay, so
much.
that's it.
Okay. Yes.
So good
Thank you.
night, everyone. Bye.